can start a forest. One word can frame a goal. One candle can wipe out darkness. With this note, I want to state that it's so gratifying to look around and see so many intellectual faces. That's a pleasing welcome to what we know is going to be a great session today. A very warm welcome to our visionary and respected the Dean and Principal Sir, our well-acclaimed guest speaker, our beloved teachers, and dear students. Wishing you all a very pleasant good morning. May I now sincerely request our Principal Sir to please come up on stage and share a few more lines about our esteemed speaker.
Very good morning to all of you, my distinguished faculty, beloved students. We'll straight away go because we got a bit late. In fact, it is always a privilege and pleasure when I meet Mr. Rabindranath Sahu, who is popularly known as Sailas Ravi. Now, if I start speaking about him, I think he is a person with so many qualities. He has so much of contribution to the society. You know, our effort has been that when you are having your foundation course, not only you know about the medical science, luminaries of the medical science, you have to be a complete doctor when you go out of this institution. In the process, we thought we'll also request our revered Sri Sailas Ravi to address you, give his experience, and convey some message to you for building your future, what the society looks at you as a doctor in future. Now, when I say, I really get immense pleasure when I say that Mr. Sailas Ravi was born in 1941. He is 79 plus, doesn't look like that. He is as agile as you youngsters are. He's a native of Cuttack only, and he has been settled for generation. You know, he is one of the later generation. He has succeeding generations. He is really original Katki, if you put it that way. Though he had a brilliant career all through, left studies halfway while pursuing post-graduation in anthropology in Utkal University and joined Sarvodaya movement led by Binova and Jayaprakash Narayan. As an activist, organizing secretary, Odisha Civil Liberty Committee, quoted jail for 6 months during emergency declared in 1975, ex-president, Gandhi Smarak Nidhi, Odisha chapter, trustee, Malati Devi Navakrishna Chaudhary Trust, Tapabhumi Trust, and advisor to quite a few social actions groups and NGOs. As a researcher, was in charge of a research project of Gandhian Institute of Studies, that is in Varanasi. The topic was structural violence in rural Utkal. Structural violence in rural Utkal, completed a project, Genesis and Development of Modernism and Progressivism in Odia Society and Literature from 1850 to 1950, receiving a senior fellowship from Department of Culture of Government of India. As a writer, he is credited to have authored 6 collections of poetry in Odia, translated 5 books into Odia for National Book Trust of India, New Delhi, edited 3 omnibus for Central Sahitya Academy, New Delhi, a book in English for children. Edited an English journal. You know, this is one of the very popular journal of that time, Parents and Pedagogues. Sarvodaya, the Odia mouthpiece of Sarvodaya movements, a regular culmination in all the leading Delhis of Odisha. He was awarded Odisha Sahitya Academic Award for Poetry for the year 2002, which he humbly refused at that point of time. He is never after accolades, awards, or recognition. You know, he is a man with several qualities. He is a very good painter. He writes lyrics. He is a lyricist. And he is a guitarist also. So a man with so many qualities. His dream project, in fact, he has always requested me to be part of the project, which I have not been able to give time and contribute from my side. He is doing an experiment in a village, a reconstruction following Gandhiji's concept of Gram Swaraj in a panchayat situated in between Cuttack and Bhubaneswar. In fact, I have committed to him. I will be part of it. And I wish all the success in this coming venture or the coming project that you have taken up. Now, today he is going to discuss on deep ecology and medico world view. If you translate into Odia, Parjavarana, Darsana, or Chikishchakya Vishwadrishti. So let's welcome with a big applause Mr. Silas Rabi. Sir, please come here.
Honorable Principal, respected faculties, and young friends. Thank you all, especially your principal, Dr. Hota, for having given me this opportunity to share some ideas with you. My topic, as he mentioned, it is deep ecology and medico worldview. I will define them. So, while choosing this topic, I had two considerations in my mind. I knew that I shall be sharing my ideas with medico freshers who are going through a kind of rite of passage, as we say, an initiation ceremony, or as we say in Oriya, a kind of Brata Upanayana Uschava. So this is an initiation ceremony for you. So that was in my mind. Besides, it was in my upper mind that I am sharing these ideas at one of the most tragic period of our civilization. It is a shame to our humanity that a microscopic virus has held to ransom the whole planet. So with this backdrop in my mind, I wanted to discuss the present crisis, which is basically an ecological crisis, with you, the would-be health professionals of this esteemed institution. What is this deep ecology? For last few decades, there is a movement called the deep ecology movement, as contrasted with superficial environmentalism. Environmentalists, they generally deal with our immediate environment. But the deep ecology is a holistic approach. It not only takes into consideration the problem of our immediate environment, but also that of our planet, even that of the whole universe, how they are affecting us and how our activities are affecting our planet, even our universe. So they don't take into consideration only physical health, but all domains of life, spiritual, physical, social, political, and economic. This pandemic has made us acutely conscious that we have to make a holistic approach to life. Otherwise, there is no redance from this kind of havoc. So this COVID-19 has not only created health hazards, but has played disastrous role, as you know, in our social life, in our economic and political life. Economies have crashed and creating horrible joblessness. Diplomacy has failed, creating enemies among countries. In personal life also, it has literally created this social distancing. We have been distanced from our near and dear ones, from our friends for months together. And those who are alcoholics, those who are drug addicts, even at young age they have died, while old people like us who are nearing 80s, maybe because of we have more immunity than them, we have survived, but they have died. So we have to learn a lot of things from this. Therefore, we have to restructure our basic understanding of disease, prevention, and cure. This will be content of medical worldview. So, I told you this medical worldview, it is a bundle of your philosophy of life. And that is in this, keeping this in the context of COVID-19, we have been forced to restructure, as I told, our basic understanding of disease, prevention, and cure. This will be the content of your medical worldview. And this medical worldview is not necessarily limited to the health professionals. Social activists, social scientists, and those involved in social engineering, the statesmen, the town planners, all have to acquire this medical worldview. All these professionals using their own discipline must think what is the disease, that is, what is the root problem, how to prevent them, and how to cure if there is already some damage and decay. So in every walk of life now, we have to think about this. So initially, your principal had requested me, asked me to talk about the Gandhian philosophy. I feared that Gandhi being the most misunderstood person nowadays, young people, especially young people, they are allergic to Gandhi. For some reasons, some think that Gandhi is an utopian, some think that Gandhi sold in India to the multinationals. Gandhi, the capitalist. Gandhi divided India, vivisected India. All these canards, cock and bull stories are there. Actually, I'm writing a book in English on that. I have the synopsis of which I will distribute among, I have only 10 copies, which I will distribute among the faculty, honorable faculty members. So, instead of taking that brand of Gandhi, because I am also branded as a Gandhian, which I hate such branding, we must have open mind. Gandhi, I don't believe in Gandhism. I believe in Gandhian spirit, which encourages everybody to go beyond Gandhi if necessary. So, so after defining deep ecology and medical worldview, if you search for solution dispassionately, without any stereotype about any personality or idea, you will certainly identify Gandhian philosophy as your last resort. Now, I will talk how Gandhi is so relevant now. Long back, the world's greatest philosopher like Albert Einstein, many of you may not be knowing what kind of personality Gandhi was and how he was viewed by outsiders. Albert Einstein, Roma Roland, Bernard Shaw, even your Charlie Chaplin, they thought that Gandhism holds the real solution for lasting world peace and sustainable development. This time is short, I shall only quote Einstein. You may be knowing that Einstein had only 2 photographs hanging from his wall, one of Newton and another of Gandhiji. And Time magazine of USA, at the end of this century, brought out a cover story on who is the greatest personality of 20th century. They chose Einstein, Albert Einstein, as the greatest personality of 20th century, and runner-up, the second one was Gandhiji in that list. But look what Einstein says. Einstein says Gandhi is our role model. So I am quoting Einstein, who gave this statement on Gandhiji's birthday. Gandhiji was at that time in jail, in prison, and Gandhiji is contemporary of Einstein, and he sent this message, within quote, we may all be happy and grateful that destiny gifted us with such an enlightened contemporary. This is a big quotation. I am just taking the last 3 lines. We may all be happy and grateful that destiny gifted us with such an enlightened contemporary, a role model for the generations to come. Generations to come may scarcely believe that such a one as this, even in flesh and blood, walked upon this earth. About avatars also we don't use such words. He says that generations to come may scarcely believe that such a one as this, that means such a one as Gandhiji, even in flesh and blood, walked upon this earth. So that was Gandhiji's image among the world leaders of his contemporary world. So Gandhi the visionary, 100 years back, he was shocked to see the depletion and rape of our nature, Mother Nature, and he warned, and this warning is also very famous because now it is oft quoted. Earth has enough for everyone's need, but not greed. Earth has enough for everyone's need, but not greed. Eric Fromm, you may be knowing, a great philosopher and a famous psychiatrist. In his book, Beyond the Chains of Illusion, he says, he dubs our civilization as consumption-hungry, production-proud civilization. Ours is a consumption-hungry and production-proud civilization. And artificial needs are created every day. And as Gandhi said, all the multinational companies, capitalists, they are trying to feed our greed, not our necessity. Just take one example, your food supplements. Most of these food supplements are bogus, but they create artificial need for it. The racket of pharmaceutical companies exposed long back by bitter pills, published by Oxfam. I had reviewed that book in my magazine. And activist organizations like Medico Friends of Pune and journals like Journal of Medical Ethics, I used to go through them. And I was a little bit interested in Jafarullah Chaudhry's Ganaswastha movement in Bangladesh. And you know, he was having a movement. He was the first person, he was in Asia, perhaps in the world, who started a people's movement for that in prescription, doctors should write the generic name and not the trade name of the medicine. Gandhi believed in, as I told, in ecology, not mere environment. He wanted planetary solutions. That is why very often he has said that after independence of India, I will fight for world federation. Without a world federation, independence of a single country does not mean anything. So he wanted planetary solutions. He believed in cosmic solutions and lasting health. What is lasting health according to Gandhiji? He says that our pinda is connected to Brahmanda. Our body, mind and soul, they are connected to the cosmic forces, to the planetary forces. So we must be conscious, always conscious about that. Bodily health, mental health, and spiritual health. He insisted that these three must go together. And you say, what has happened now? The whole civilization is suffering from a kind of schizophrenia. And there is a disintegration of our personality. We are thinking something, and while writing or speaking, we are speaking something different, and while doing, practicing, we are not practicing what we have said or we have thought. So the whole civilization is a sick civilization now. We find disintegration of personality, split personality in every sphere of life. And Gandhi wanted to rectify that. In your Hippocrates oath, it is said, I will keep pure and holy both my life and my art. Of course, Hippocrates' oath has been revised so many times, but in the original one, Hippocrates, he insists that doctor should keep pure and holy both his life and his art. You have to take oath that I will abstain from all intentional wrongdoing and harm. I shall accept my teachers as my own parents. Just see whether you are doing that or not. Hope you will observe those things which not only be a Hippocratic oaths should not be a hypocrisy kind of thing. We should literally follow that. Even our Charaka Muni, who was a great Indian physician, you know, he used to say that mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha moksha. Oh doctor, oh physician, take into consideration also man's mind, mana, because mind is at the root of everything. It is at the root of our life and salvation. So, and you know now psychosomatic medicines, they are given very important place in medical sciences. So, as far as I know, unfortunately now in the oath, Hippocrates oath, the stress is put only on two aspects of ethics: confidentiality and avoiding legal misconduct, which they say malfeasance, non-malfeasance. But Gandhi, he said religion, Gandhi's religion, Gandhi translated a book, his first translation was Ethical Religion, a book in English, he translated it to Gujarati. He said, my religion is ethical religion. It is based, its foundation is on ethics. So, if we look at this Gandhian idea or that of Hippocrates, we will find that ethics is at the foundation of this sacred profession, medical profession. So, that was Gandhi's truth. And what was Gandhi's ahimsa? That is also very much misunderstood. Gandhi used this negative word, but insisted that its positive meaning is love. Love even for one's enemy. Don't hate the wrongdoer, but hate his wrongdoing. But don't compromise with that wrongdoing, but don't hate the wrongdoer. And in what is more important, and which very few people understand, that Gandhi wanted to experiment his ahimsa in social life, in political life also. He said, unless our social life is egalitarian, if there is so many stratification of caste, class, and regionalism, then there cannot be ahimsak society. And in governance also, if there is no decentralization, if there is regimentation, whether regimentation of the capitalists or regimentation of state, in the name of state, bureaucracy and politicians, they decide our fate. Gandhi said, there cannot be an ahimsak society. So for Gandhi, actually, he talked of a concept, Gram Raj. What is that Gram Raj? Gram Raj means a decentralized, communitarian social order. Unless there is a decentralized, communitarian social order, there cannot be an ahimsak society, non-violent society. So that was Gandhi's concept of non-violence. So even in international relations, you see, atomic warfare. Now, previously there was atomic weapons only in the hands of USA and Soviet Russia. But now small countries like Korea, North Korea, or for that matter Pakistan or Iran also, they possess these atomic weapons. And Gandhi was also, he was living at the time in 1942 when there was a bombing of Hiroshima. He was living, and he said that it is high time that we must understand the nature of modern warfare. Modern warfare, if there is a atomic war, they say, the scientists say, it will be finished within half an hour to 1 hour, and there will be no living organism on the earth after that war. And that's why they call it MAD, M-A-D, that's an acronym. M for mutually, A for assured, D for destruction. So mutually assured destruction will be the result of this atomic warfare, MAD. So this pandemic now will complete, I will conclude. This pandemic is a mirror of our society, mirror of our lifestyle, and mirror of our worldview. History, but history teaches that we learn nothing from history. Now see again, second wave of pandemic is coming from Germany, etc., to Maharashtra, and from Maharashtra towards Odisha. Because we learn nothing from history. The more things change, it is said, the more things change, the more they stay the same. You have that machine, sir, on which you run in the morning, what is called? A treadmill. You stand on a treadmill for 1 hour, you will be sweating, but you will find you are exactly at the same place where you had been 1 hour back. And the whole civilization is like that. We are thinking we are progressing, we are running, but actually we are actually, our vehicle has a back gear, I think. So, history teaches the more these things change, the more they stay the same. So, you run for an hour, and as I said, you are on the same treadmill after an hour. I conclude with a prayer by a Puranic young boy like Prahalad. You must have heard the story of Prahalad, son of Hiranyakashipu. When God says, Vishnu says, ask for some boon, what vara you want? He prays like this. Na tvaham kamaye rajyam, na swargam, na punarbhavam, kamaye dukkha taptanam, praninam artinasanam. He says, I don't need to be a ruler. I don't need to go to heaven, nor do I need rebirth after death. Oh Lord, I beg only one thing, help me to alleviate the pain and suffering of all the living beings. As far as biomedical ethics is concerned, I think you should act like Bratadharis, following the precepts of Prahlad, Hippocrates, and Gandhi. Jai Jagat.
Thank you, sir, for these enlightening words that you have already conveyed to our freshers. In fact, the philosophy of Gandhi, if he starts talking, it may take days to complete. He had very precisely in his gist, he has mentioned that in the present society, the philosophy of Gandhi or the Gandhiism also prevails. And it stands very true at this moment also. Now, as I always say, you are young, you have just stepped into the medical profession, your career is starting. We have an objective of giving you the foundation. The foundation is not confined to the profession itself. You need to come out as a complete man and a doctor with wider vision. That is our objective. Thank you. We can hand over the small token of appreciation from the faculty and student of SV Medical College. I think Professor Bidyut Das will hand over. Please come. Please come.